Yeah, I don't know how many days it is, but it'll probably be somewhere approaching 5 months since the Manchester airport attacks on three uniformed police officers, three uniformed armed police officers. We are still yet to hear how he's standing with them, how he's standing next to them, what the CPS are doing about them being beaten up, about a woman police officer having her nose broken by a thug who apparently is walking free around the streets of Manchester. Seems to be rather two-tier to me. Mark Williamson says, what's wrong with Starmer? Easier to identify what's right with him. Absolutely nothing. A useless man on robot speed. Get him out. Let's talk about something slightly different. Front page of the Sun this morning, Theo, is a story which is a bit complicated. It's all about football and the European Union, which is a bit of an odd mix, isn't it?
Yeah, so the European Union wants to create a new European Super League.
Yeah.
This is from promoter A22 Sports, and they want to entice Premier League clubs to join a 96-team competition.
Right.
That
sounds mad.
Absolutely.
96 teams.
96. And it's all possible, the Sun's reporting, thanks to a ruling by the European Court of Justice.
Right.
But, of course, supporters are furious because it would run alongside the Champions League. I mean, it would be just untenable.
So they're trying to put this on top of everything else. So not instead of the Premier League, or not instead of the Champions League, but in addition to it.
Yes, I think, from my understanding, I mean, it would just be Super League 2, so that assumes we already have the Champions League and our Premier League.
Right.
Four divisions names based on the EU flag. Absolutely. I mean,
sounds bonkers. Sounds like something the EU would come up with.
Yes.
Right. Because it's like the old, committee that designed a camel, isn't it? You know, why would you design a camel like that unless you did it by committee? Why would you come up with another 96 team league unless you were the EU?
Yes, and of course this comes on the back. Keir Starmer saying yesterday again, he was saying it to Harry in another part of his interview about wanting a reset with the European Union.
Yes.
But make no mistake about it, if there's a reset with the European Union and the EU...
Which nobody here wants, by the way.
They're going to want stuff in return, though. They're going to want a youth mobility scheme for migration for under-30s. They're going to want to bring us under the auspices, the jurisdiction of the European Court of Justice as well, which, of course, we did away with when we left the European Union, when we voted for Brexit.
Yeah, this is not the ECHR, this is the actual European Court,
in 2016. And of course they're going to want access to our fishing waters. Yeah. And the Sun, they did a very powerful editorial yesterday when they said, actually, hang on a moment, we like it as it is. It works right now. Yeah.
Well, the Sun's launched a campaign this week called Don't Betray Brexit. Let's have a listen to what Starmer said to Harry Cole on the EU reset. We're getting that for you. Because it's not very clear what he's up to. It seems to me that what he's up to is to basically kind of, through the back door, through the side door, restore the relationship we had with the EU when we were still in it. Let's have a look.
Even to begin talks, even to get to that summit, you've got to put free movement for the under-30s, students being able to travel across Europe, come to the UK, on the table, or they're not even going to talk.
I've been clear from the get-go that freedom of movement is
for the under-30s,
a red line for us, and there are no plans in relation to free movement on any level. But look, we're entering into discussions. There will be a summit in the early part of 2025. We do intend to get a better deal for your readers so they feel better off, but we're not going to reverse. I'm not interested. We've been through a referendum in 2016. We know the outcome of that. We respect the outcome of that. Not going back into the EU. But if you're asking me, can we not get a better deal than the one we've got, I don't accept that.
So how's he going to make us all better off then? By getting a better deal with Europe?
So what he wants to
make champagne cheaper, is he?
So what he wants to do is he wants to reduce the bureaucracy for companies that trade frequently or rely on trade frequently with the European Union. But if you listen very carefully to his language, he's saying things like there are no plans for to bring back freedom of movement, i.e. there are no plans right now. But you would ask the question, could there be plans in the future? So he's not saying categorically that this youth mobility scheme is not going to happen. He's just saying there aren't any plans for it to happen. You have to be quite... With Keir Starmer, you have to really listen to his language because he uses it very carefully so that he can always technically stay on the right side of the argument.
But let's not forget, and we can find a clip because we always do if we want to, when he said he's prepared for government. He wasn't two-tier about that. He was like, we are prepared for government in every single department. We're ready to rock and roll. We're ready to get going. We've costed everything. We won't be doing anything that hasn't been costed. He gets in, and it's complete and utter chaos. Let's have a look at what he does say further about freedom of movement.
Are you about to betray Brexit?
No, we've been really clear from the get-go that this isn't about re-entry to the EU. It's not about going back to the old rules of the single market, the customs union, freedom of movement, etc. So we've been very clear about that. But within that, yes, we do want to reset. I want to make sure that we get a better deal for the British people, for your readers, so that they feel better off, they've got a better public services, and I think we can do that with a reset.
How do we get better public services by being closer in alignment with the European Union? How does that work?
So this is Keir Starmer logic here that I'm pushing forward to you, Mike.
Okay.
I think you're looking at me down the river. This is Keir Starmer logic on it. Right? So the argument is that if companies can trade more freely with the European Union, then they can expand their businesses, they can do more business, and if they're then doing more business, then they can pay higher taxes. If they're paying higher taxes, there's more money into the Treasury, and if there's more money into the Treasury, that pays for...
That's quite a journey he's on there, isn't it? I mean, you've got to go all the way from one end of the train to the other before it gets to the station.
Yes.
I'm not buying it.
But that's the... You're not... and I'm sure many of your listeners won't buy it either. And they would be perfectly reasonable. It would be a perfectly reasonable view to say, no, I can't see that working. But
this is the trouble.
But that's the journey.
He's the guy. So if that's really how he thinks, then we're in a lot more trouble than we thought we were, because if he actually believes that, then that makes him technically and possibly, actually, really, in reality, insane. Because there is no logic that joins those two things up from one end of the train to the other. There just isn't.